I don't like Gunna. I don't like Gunna. I've never understood the hype behind Gunna. I don't know why people act like he's the greatest thing ever. A lot of people are like, oh, Lil Baby would be nothing without Gunna. I myself was introduced by Gunna before I was introduced to Lil Baby. It was Drip Harder. Gunna was Drip or Drown too. I love watching people not even acknowledge the fact that the more famous Gunna got, the less he tried. Listen to the difference between his first album and his most recent one, or even his most acclaimed one, his highest selling one. Like, he went from actually trying to sound decent to not trying, phoning it in, mumbling. If anyone's a mumble rapper, it's him. I hate the term mumble rap. Gunna is a mumble rapper. I just hit the chair. Gunna's new album just came out. It's not half bad. It's not my favorite thing in the world. There's been better albums. Gunna has interesting music in his category, but this one probably holds up to be his best overall album. Now, there are songs that are boring, there are songs that are unlistenable, there are songs that are just here for the album, there are songs I'm never gonna listen to again, but that's just Gunna. This is the first time since one of his first ever albums to actually be a solo Gunna album. It paid off pretty well, actually. A little funny how people switched up very quickly on snitches, but when Gunna did it, they were like, squirrel. I didn't see it. This album is, it's the beat selection is actually quite interesting because in my opinion, it's different than any of his other ones. It's a lot grander, it's a lot louder. His voice is still the same, it's still hard to listen to, and I think that's the problem for me, is if this was anyone else over the album, maybe not anyone, but people I enjoy a little more, people that are, would have fit the album a little better, I feel like the album overall would have been better, especially with the beat selection, because it was actually really good. When Gunna comes to be the most chill, laid back rapper around, it's a little hard to hear, a decent song when the beat starts to kick in and then Gunna comes in. It's a little hard to sit through. Also, his lyrics still hold up to be some of the corniest stuff I've ever heard. It's actually pretty funny. I think my favorite album, and I'm not counting Drip Harder because the only reason that album is good is because of Lil Baby. I don't understand the argument of Lil Baby has been surpassed by Gunna years ago. I still think Lil Baby holds up as a better rapper, but that's just me. Just Gunna. This one, trash. This one, trash. This one, trash. This one, trash. This one, you gotta think about it, and then it's trash. This one, trash. But this one right here, is not half bad. The problem is, it holds up the same argument as the one I'm talking about right now. Drip or Drown 2 has the greatest beat selection of any Gunna album. You could go from start to finish, and every beat on it is actually really good. Like, in my opinion, I think the best producer out there right now is Metro Boomin, because his beat selections is just perfect, and he makes the best beats ever. But with this album, Gunna chose correctly, because the beats all across it actually sound really, really good. They hold up even to this day as one of the best beat selected rap albums I've ever heard, in my opinion, just because it's so different, yet it's so in your face, it's charismatic. He was trying something new and it worked. But once again, it is Gunna rapping over the album, and it puts me to sleep having to listen to his voice. I am so glad I've never heard an acoustic or even just no beat album by Gunna, because that would be terrible. That would be probably one of the worst things I've ever heard. I don't like Gunna. Gunna does not make good music. Now, Gunna can make good music. He just doesn't try. If you go back and listen to that original Gunna album, maybe even the one that's available to everyone, like on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. I use Spotify. The first one on there, his voice is loud. He is loud and speaking proud of what he's talking about. Nowadays, you can't tell me he's trying. You can't tell me he cares at all about what he's talking about, ever. The good thing about this album is he finally has subject matter that isn't just drugs, sex, and I'm better about stuff that he hasn't talked about before, and it's worth listening to. The song that led up to this album, Bread and Butter, I was a little scared because I don't like that song. That song is just not good. It's a normal Gunna song, and that's what made me scared. And everyone was telling me that, or I guess everyone who actually listens to music told me that the album sounds like that song, and I disagree with that. The album does not sound like that song. Maybe a little bit of the subject matter, but that song is boring. The album is actually not that boring. But again, it is a Gunna album. It loses points, especially because there are 0 features on this album. Gunna's last album was carried by the features and still sucked. Yes, I think that album was bad. The album that holds Pushin' P was a bad album. Overall, that song, yes, it's still a little catchy, but that album is just trash. This one has no features. It's just Gunna. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's what's holding it back for me. Is I myself have something against Gunna. I don't know when it started, but it's held up pretty heavily by the fact that Gunna is just trash, in my opinion. I can't get that across more heavily. This is my opinion. If you disagree, I don't care. Gunna sucks. Overall, I'd probably give the album like a 6, maybe a 6.5 out of 10. It is still better than 6ix9ine's album. So from one snitch to another, one turned out on top and one didn't. But it's still just a Gunna album. It's not, anything crazy. People over here like, oh my god, Gunna just made it worth snitching. Gunna just broke the internet with the best album ever. Gunna changed the rap scene. No, he didn't. Shut up. He's still bad. Now, I don't think the album is like the most absolute trash thing I've ever heard. I already made that clear if I didn't. That's my opinion on Gunna's new album. I'm gonna start stepping away from the actual like listening party videos where I sit there and listen to the entire album and do more of just talk about the album, because those videos are so time consuming. I don't have time for it, and I'm really sorry. I will maybe get back into it. I didn't even get to talk about Dirk's album, which I wanted to. I might still do it. I'm just late as usual, and I don't want to be late anymore. So if a topic comes up that's worth talking about more than something in the past, I'm gonna choose that because relevancy, and I'm not famous enough to talk about whatever I want. So hopefully I can get back into the actual like listening of the albums, because that was fun, but it's just so time consuming, and then the editing is the worst part. If you're an editor, please reach out to me. I will send you my stuff. You can edit it and I will post it, and I will do that daily. But I'm my editor right now because all my past editors suck. They are trash, like Gunna. So that's my opinion on it. 6.5, 6 out of 10 album. Not the best thing ever. Not terrible. I think it's worth a listen if you like Gunna, and if you're trying to get into Gunna, this is the album I would start with, and then just don't look back. Maybe Drip or Drown 2, probably Drip Harder, but nothing else. And his features are hit or miss most of the time. He was on like everyone's album from 2018 to 2020, maybe 2017 to like 2019. He was on everyone's album, so you'll definitely get a lot of features. It's just whether it's worth listening to or not. That's up to you. That's all I have to say. That entire video, I forgot my light. So if it's crappy lighting, sorry. Again.